and phases that I wouldn't put anything past them.
Huh.
So it's very possible it was a staged event. However, from my perspective and what I knew, it was an accident.
Well, it was, as described to me, there was an intention to destroy the base, and this was the plan.
Very possible that somehow a nightmare situation was transmitted to Duncan while he was on the chair.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Okay.
I would not doubt that.
Now, were you actually at the base when this happened?
No, I was actually at my home in another part of Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And when it happened, I had a nervous breakdown. I just went berserk. I became an alcoholic. I could not function in my marriage. I was just insane. And that led to a very long period of time where I was just really let loose in the world and was quite wild until finally I was sent to deprogrammers who unfortunately did work for the government, but did download a lot of information for me and helped me to get myself at least balanced in some way. However, during that time, I was placed on Prozac, hydrochloride, all kinds of medications designed to make me unaware of who and what I was. And every time I complained about it, they doubled the dosage until I became suicidal. And then I was eventually sent away by the government into a prison camp in the Appalachian Mountains.
What year was this?
It was 1992.
Not that long ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, 8.5 now.
How long were you there?
I was in that particular prison camp for about, I guess, 7 months. That was in the eastern mountains of Kentucky. And then I was interrogated for 2 nights in a locked building by a supervisor who told me that if they let me go, what would I say to people in public? And he said to me, if the U.S. were invaded by an alien or foreign power, where would my allegiance lie? And then he asked me what I knew about the Illuminati and the government and what I would say to people. And he said to me, you know, if you were to go out and say certain things, we can claim that you are mentally insane and put you in a mental institution for the rest of your life. So, of course, I told them what they wanted to hear.
Sure.
And I was going to get myself out of there. Now, mind you, even though it was a prison camp, I was in charge of the education department of the prison camp. And in fact, I was teaching classes on the language of hyperspace that I learned at Montauk and giving it to the prisoners at this camp were politicians. There was the governor of West Virginia. There were state senators. There was all kinds of high-ranking officials from all over.
Wait, this is mind-blowing, or maybe mind-expanding.
Well, and the deal was I had to give them a lesson plan every time I taught a class, which was about 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
And then they'd review it and listen to the class as I would do it. And in fact, there were times when I would have the class in a visualization or meditation, and it would be quite silent, and over the loudspeaker, they would play that Twilight Zone music. You know, do like that.
Yeah.
So it was a big joke to them, but they was also letting me know they were listening.
Now, wait a minute. You're saying, let's just say the governor of West Virginia. Was he there in the prison camp as a prisoner?
He was an inmate.
He was an inmate. Well, what was happening in West Virginia when he was there?
Well, all I can tell you is West Virginia must have a lot of corrupt government because half the state was in this place. The state senators, the governor, police chiefs, I mean, you name it. They were in this place.
They were there.
Yeah. And then they finally sent me to a camp in central Pennsylvania at the top of another mountain. And there I was again in charge of the education department. And I was also in charge or helped monitor for the National Weather Service. I would take readings for them and transmit the information because there was no stations in the area that were reliable. And so I did that for about a year.
Okay.
There again, teaching classes, doing all kinds of things for the inmates there, meeting with the prison camp and penitentiary education department and giving them my ideas of how to educate people there. And then I was finally sent, guess where, to the Philadelphia Naval Yard.
No.
Coming full circle.
Okay. And what year was this again?
That was now early 94. By the time that was October 93 when I finally got to the Philadelphia Naval Yard.
93 October.
And I was there till spring of 94.
Anything interesting happened there?
Well, there I was placed in charge of recycling material, and my supervisor there was a lady who I guess she had some kind of a romantic interest in me, or she would call me into her office constantly, and was a little too close for comfort, for all I can say. Mm-hmm. Now, what she told me was, and now I never solicited any of this information, she just told me that she knew that underneath the base were tunnels that led to various parts of the country, and that in various parts of the country, she was in charge of shipping material that was being stored in case of a national emergency in the future.
Now, do you think she was trying to get romantically linked to you to control you, or it just happened that way?
It's been my experience in my life that they have sent many women into my life as my handlers or controllers.
Right, and you're programmed to respond immediately, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wow, and you think she was one of them, right?
Oh, I'm pretty sure that she was.
Mm-hmm. But then why would she have told you about these tunnels?
Many of the times, many of these handlers or controllers each provide me with bits of information designed to trigger certain programming in me, or to hook up to the reciprocal information that I already have.
It almost sounds as if you're a conduit, a tuning rod, or something for the balancing of energy within this planet.
Well, that's very curious that you said that, because one of the things I teach in my lectures and seminars is how to balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain and the energy system. And I was pretty much an expert in that, but I was also considered an expert in alien civilizations. And very often, when there'd be a crash or some kind of activity where there was an artifact left, an artifact meaning part of a body, an object, what have you, I would be shown either that body part or pictures of it and asked to identify the species. And that I did up until about 91 or 2.
And how did you know, Stewart? How did you know?
I knew since I was 3 years old, when I was brought to that platform, about the species that were involved in creating life on this planet, and what that whole scenario was about, and how it's failed. And so this whole world, everybody on it, is an experiment, or part of an experiment. And everyone on this planet is an alien to it, because life here is not natural. It was either brought here or created on it.
Wow. You know what comes to mind, Stewart, is I've heard many people say that if our entire DNA was activated, we would have all the knowledge that we would need. We would know everything.
Well, 97% of all DNA, whether you're an amoeba, an alien, or an elephant, is identical. Now, science called it junk DNA. But that 97% is the foundational mind pattern of what you would call God mind.
Right.
It's only the 3 remaining percent that differentiates species and individuals.
But is yours more activated or connected than, say, the average person here? Is that how you have this knowledge?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, human beings only use 10% of their brain.
We've heard that.
And so I teach people how to open up the other 90%. Now, whether you consider it fortunate or not, because of